What's up guys? I'm here today for a story time video and I just finished filming my holiday gift guide video, so go check that out if you haven't already checked it out. By the time this comes out it will probably be already past Christmas. However, you can still go check that video out if you have a birthday or something coming up, or you want to get super pre-prepared for next Christmas. Anyways, this is going to be my story time of the time I was in France. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So about a year ago, so this was around the same time I went to Morocco and Spain. One of the girls that I went to Morocco with, that was in Spain with me, we also went to France, and another girl, Amanda, came with us to France as well. It was mostly her idea, she brought it up. And of course, like I said, I'm always down to travel. So we selected the dates and everything and where we were going to stay, and we headed to France. This was a lot easier than it was when we were going to Morocco because first, nobody was worried with us being just girls. Two, it was only 3 of us, so not too many thoughts and opinions going in. And we already kind of agreed like where we wanted to go, pretty much the main attractions, which included Paris. So we selected everything we wanted to do, and we headed out. The only thing was that a lot of people were like, not everybody, but a lot of people who had already been to France, and a few who hadn't been to France were like, oh, you shouldn't go to France because they're super snobby and they're rude and they don't like Americans and yada 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 yada. They had a terrible time when they went there, and we were just like, okay, yeah, whatever. It might suck when we get there, who knows, but we wanted to have our own experience, not judge it off of other people's experience, because you never know what could happen. So we were like, we're just gonna go regardless, just because we want to experience it for ourselves. And luckily we had an amazing time. The only thing that went that was just annoying was when we got there, the airport there, when we had to like go through, I don't even remember what it was, but we had to go to some booth or something. So the woman there that was helping people was just super rude, and she wasn't just rude to us, she was like rude to everybody, we noticed. So, and we actually heard like a couple people talking about it, but it was whatever, and that was like the only mishap that we had. Other than that, everybody was super nice and super friendly and like so willing to help us find where we were going. And yeah, so we started in, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but Beauvais, France, and it was a very quiet little town. We started there. It was like kind of the countryside, like an hour away from Paris. So we spent the night there, and it was actually really cool because it was beautiful, but it was also kind of eerie. So when we went to explore, it was just kind of eerie because there was nobody in sight. Like we probably saw maybe like 3 or 4 people, and it was just so weird because it was daytime. We're like, it is so weird that nobody's out, like none of these stores are open, and I don't know, it was just really weird. And we thought like, is it because it was not even Sunday, it wasn't Sunday, it was like we left on like Thursday or Friday, so we didn't know what was going on. We were like, it is so weird because it was literally like kind of like a ghost town, and so it was kind of creepy. Plus we went like by this really old church, which was gorgeous, but at the same time it had that eerie type of feel. So yeah, we were just kind of like, I don't know, this is a little bit weird, but we still enjoyed our little self-given tour. And then we went back to our hotel. We had breakfast, or we had lunch and dinner or whatever, and then the next day we went out to Paris. So Paris was amazing. Like it was so gorgeous as soon as we got there, so pretty. We started out in this Middle Eastern restaurant, and it was delicious. The food we had was so bomb, and yeah, we just loved Paris. The only thing for me was like, well, I don't get shell or like culture shock really at all. and I didn't really think I would either here or in Paris, because I felt like it was pretty similar to the US, and it really is. It was kind of like New York City, but bigger, with the Eiffel Tower and older looking buildings. So yeah, that's kind of how it was. I didn't feel like I was in a different country or anything like that, but yeah, it was just gorgeous. And oh, and a lot of people who speak French, so that was like the only main differences for me. So we went to the Eiffel Tower, of course, how cliche, we went to the Eiffel Tower first. So when we got there, it was, okay, so Fanta, she was looking for she wanted to get a selfie stick. And there's a lot of Haitian immigrants in France. And so a lot of the men like go around to like touristy areas and they sell things. So there was like a lot of Haitian men in the front of the Eiffel Tower selling different items. And there was one guy who had like a ton of selfie sticks. And so Amanda and I were already kind of like, I don't know that that's such a good idea, but she like really wanted a selfie stick. It was like $10, I think, and we were like, I don't know that it's gonna work, but she bought it anyways and gave him her money, and lo and behold, it did not work. Like, we didn't know where he went for a second, but he was still there. He just like, I don't know, he like moved all his stuff that quick and went in a different area. But we found him, and she was like bargaining with him to get her money back. She's like, I just gave you this, like, and it doesn't work. He was not trying to give her money back, but he eventually caved in, gave her money back, and was like trying to sell her a new one. But thankfully she was like, nope, I'm good. I'm just gonna extend our arms as far as we can. So we took photos, of course, and did all the things that tourists do in front of the Eiffel Tower. And then there was like some type of commotion, so I guess it's illegal for them to be selling things there, because like two cops kind of came around, and so there was probably like 15 dudes, 15, 20 Haitian guys around there selling different items, and they all have like this blanket or tarp with all their stuff on it, and then so they can like grab up all the four corners and like treat it as like a sack or satchel and put it over their shoulders. So that's like what they all did, and freaking packed their stuff up, threw it over their shoulder, and they did it. But we did see like two cops, and we're like, whoa, that was crazy. There was just people running around, and other people were like, oh my gosh, like what's happening? But it was so weird. And then somebody told us like, oh yeah, it's illegal for them to do that, and I was like, that is so weird that they were doing it in such an open place too. You would think there's cops around here to begin with, but I don't know, I guess they're being risque, I don't know. But yeah, so we did the little touristy stops, and we went everywhere for attractions and everything. I love seeing all the monumental areas. We went to the palace and everything, and we met this girl. She was a Chinese foreign exchange student. Her name was Carrie, and I still talk to her on Facebook. And that's one of my points, that when you go, especially abroad, when you travel, you talk to people, meet new people, because you never know who you're going to come across. You always meet new people, hear interesting stories and conversations. So we met her at, I think we went to McDonald's, and then we just started talking, and then we told her like where we were going. We were looking for the palace, and so she was like, oh, I know where that is. And so she's like, I could just take you guys there, and she just went out of her way from whatever she was doing and took us to the palace. And we were just talking on the way there. We took a train or bus, and then we just walked the rest of the way. And yeah, she just went up there with us and took pictures with us. It was really cool, and I just liked meeting her. And I thought I always just think that is like a really cool thing when you meet people abroad, and they just go out of their way to help you. Like I said, in Morocco and various other experiences that I've had personally, it just really is like, I just love it. I just love learning about other cultures and learning about other people and hearing different stories. And so yeah, I really enjoyed my time in France. And then so after France, they stayed longer than I did, and I came back a day before they did, so I could go to Barcelona, because I figured that I might not have enough time to go to Barcelona. Got to Barcelona, and of course the first place I stopped was a coffee shop. So I can I didn't have a plan. I just knew I wanted to go, and I would just pretty much get lost in the city, which is exactly what I did. So all I did was kind of look at some main streets or attractions in the area that I was in. So that's pretty much what I did. I just wandered around. I didn't really take pictures. I don't think I took any pictures, honestly. I might have took a few pictures or a few. Yeah, I might have taken a few pictures, but I'm not positive. I pretty much just wanted to immerse myself in the culture, in the city, and not take pictures, not be distracted by technology or anything like that. So that's what I did. And then so I ran into this woman, an elderly woman, and she, okay, her name was Marisol, and so she was getting on the train and she dropped or one of her bags ripped open, actually, so the contents in the bag dropped on the floor, and so I came over to help her gather her stuff. And so she made a comment, because she obviously knew I was American, from my accent. She's like, "Oh, are you American?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So we were talking, and she was like, "Oh, you have so..." She complimented me on my manners, because she was impressed that an American would come over and help her just like that. And so I was like, "Oh, really?" And so we just got to talking, and she was asking me questions about myself, telling me about herself and how she loved to travel when she was younger and still would love to travel if she could. But Barcelona is her home and she loves being there, of course. But yeah, and we just talked about a bunch of different things, and she was telling me how she was really happy, impressed, and loved the fact that I love to travel so much and that I travel as much as I do, especially being young and being a female. And this kind of resonated with me because I hear about this a lot. A lot of young people and a lot of females especially don't like to travel by themselves or at all. And people, there are people who don't like to, and then there's people who do like to but just never take that leap. They'll talk about it, but they just don't do it. And that doesn't make sense to me, because I'm like, if you want to do it and if you have the means to do it, then just go, just do it. What are you waiting for exactly? Obviously, it's different if you have a spouse. If you live with somebody, then yeah, you should tell them. You shouldn't just up and leave and then not say where you're. As I've said before, I think that travel is so important. I think it's a very big part of our lives that we need to invest in this. I feel like it should be mandatory for students to travel at least one place during their school year, and I feel like it should be included in the tuition. But yeah, I just feel like it should be almost a requirement, because you learn so much. You learn about the way people live in different areas. You can relate that to the way you live in America or wherever you live. Just going to a new place, seeing how those people live, how they function, what their lives are like on a day-to-day basis, and then comparing it to your own life, you will learn so much. Dang, I really take this food for granted, or I really take this and this and this for granted, or dang, maybe they see this in such a different completely view, or such a complete different view than I do. I wonder why. And you learn so much when you travel, and to me, yeah, like I said, I feel like it should just be almost mandatory, a requirement. But some people just don't like to travel. They're just afraid to, or just have no interest in it, and that's fine too. I just really like to travel, so but yeah, just again, if you want to travel, just go. Don't make any excuses. I have a friend, and I feel like I'll always ask her to go places, and we never do, because for one reason or the other, there's always something, and I usually end up going by myself. A lot of my friends, I'll ask them, "Hey, let's go such and such place, let's go here, let's go there," and I literally have stopped asking people if they want to travel with me. I usually, 95% of the time, I will make a plan and I will just go by myself. And some of my friends will be like, "Oh, why didn't you invite me?" Because you don't be about that life. You're not about it. You and I, we have two different views, and it's because, and people will be like, oh, you should have invited me, why didn't you invite me? It's like, because every time we have talked about it, you don't go, or like if we end up not going, and I don't want to keep not going somewhere when I can just go by myself. Like, I'm not afraid to go by myself. I don't care. It's nothing. Like, I'll go. So that's why, and for people who are afraid to go travel by themselves, don't be. There's so much more hype than there needs to be. It's not scary, or maybe it might be a little bit scary, especially if you've never been anywhere before or out of the country before. It could be a little bit scary, but it's just your nerves. Don't be afraid. Like, really, if you want to go by yourself, just go. Like, it will be okay. You'll be okay. So yeah, that's my traveling. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, gained a little insight from it, or you know, whatever. I hope that gave you some inspiration and a bit of motivation. I really urge you to just go and travel if you want to. If that's something you've been thinking about, just do it. If you have any questions at all about traveling, you can always send me a message or comment down below. I will answer your questions or your comments. Make sure to like this video and subscribe. Follow me on my other social media sites, and yeah, I will catch you guys next time. Bye!